Hey.
Hey there, my
Hey.
name's Josh.
Say that again?
We're talking over each other.
Look, let's take turns, just this once. Hey,
Hey,
my name's
my name's
Alexi.
Josh.
My name's Amelia.
My name's Josh.
My name's Alexi.
My name's
Jacob.
Kim.
My name's
Amelia.
My name is Akshan.
Name's Ines.
My name's Charlotte.
My name's Hardman.
This is a play.
Kind of.
Also, not a play.
Let's not worry about what this kind of thing is called, what we might have started to call it. This thing we've always done when we get together.
Whatever we started to call together.
And some of us watch and listen.
Whatever we're calling this right now, this is one of those.
It's meant to take place wherever it takes place.
It's meant to take place here.
Which could mean you're wherever you are and everyone else is wherever they are, joining together our here's to make a single here.
Them edge to edge on a screen like a self-assembly plastic storage boxes for human heads.
And if that's true, then let's tell you about our own worlds outside these boxes.
I'm in Bath and it's just gotten dark.
Or maybe, just maybe that we're all in the same big box.
All in the same air.
That I can look you in your actual eye.
Actual human glistening, stick it to the touch, see it blink, human eye.
Imagine that, if that's not what we're doing. If we're still at the heads in boxes stage.
Imagine us all in that space, how it's going to feel when it finally happens.
Because it will happen.
If it has happened, we are all together in a room with air and eyes and all the sounds.
The small sounds of bodies that microphones don't notice and speakers don't transmit.
Take a moment to think back to the time, that lost age of months or weeks or even just days ago when we couldn't do this.
When our bodies were quiet, or at least made noises only we could hear.
When maybe the only clue to our actual existence
Or real world existence.
was when we froze, or glitched, or had to leave and return while we stayed in the same exact place.
Weird, isn't it? Whatever you're doing now, whatever way we're doing this now, can so quickly become the only way to do it. The only way we've ever done it.
I guarantee you, even though some things might be different,
The distance between us, if we're in a room.
The tension in the room that was never there before.
The lack of different broadband speeds.
The color and closeness of the walls around us.
I still find it hard to imagine that we used to do this any other way, or that the way we're doing it will change.
Anyway, this play, this thing, this poem.
What we're calling what's happening doesn't matter.
But it has a name apart from that.
And the name of it is
Hold out your hand.
That's what was printed at the top of the document they gave us.
It was in bold to seem important, to say, this is the title.
But we're not so into that.
Hold out your hand. Yeah, we're not that into it.
I mean, we get it. We're not.
We're not stupid. We get that someone thought it sounded hopeful.
About connection and contact, but it's a bit thin, isn't it? It's a bit on the bland side.
Bit full of the kind of empty openness, and that's
Just meant to get us through this.
Like something you'd say to a child.
Crossing a road, or maybe,
walking down familiar streets to a funeral.
or something. Feels kind, but unfocused.
Almost as if it was a compromise. Like the guy thought, I want to make something about getting through this, but just that.
Not about doing, but about being there.
About reassurance and how everything is going to be okay.
How, if we're just here for each other, everything's going to be okay.
So, hold out your hand, he thought. That'll do. Except it won't.
It could have been, and this is no disrespect. Honestly, mate, we're saying these words, aren't we? No disrespect, but
It could have been a better title.
What about the Forgotten Months?
Or head in a box.
Or this street has never been so silent.
Or screen time.
Or connectivity issues.
Or the link between worlds.
Or beyond the boxes.
or my screen is frozen.
Oh, try to
turn
make
it
Just
on
like
again.
version of
Oh, no, no,
Change it
guys,
to it.
I was suggesting a title.
Oh.
Could have said.
Or rejoining the call.
Something that says clearly what's happened and the many shades of feeling, from relief to joy.
To the deepest sorrow, to total fury.
It's possible to feel about, and whoever wrote this, for example,
I mean, I'm sure it's a man, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a man.
I'm sure he would agree that there's no way he can really get in our heads.
There's a lot he doesn't know, a lot he doesn't want to guess, a lot he thinks but he knows is wrong.
And the rest of it, he's making up.
he wouldn't know. How could he? That's the lowest point of this year for me, was his haircut.
And the highest point for me was driving around singing karaoke at the top of my lungs.
I mean, how could he know that?
But anyway, here we are.
Probably when this is happening.
When we're saying this,
When you're hearing this,
we're all still a bit spooked, still a bit scared of touching each other.
Everyone just feeling a little bit like we've been walking down a corridor that's lined with cheap carpets and we're about to touch a door handle.
Most of us have learned to move through our own lives like ghosts, as the world changed around us in ways it never has before.
Ways that we had to find words to describe.
It was like the door slamming shut behind you and realizing you're not locked out, you're locked in.
No, that's not it.
It was like a montage in a film, except instead of moving the story on, it repeated the same few frames over and over.
No, that's not it either.
It was like waiting for a bus, except the timetable was blank and all the numbers on the board kept changing.
I think we should try this one ourselves.
It was like the pause, where you count the delay between lightning and thunder.
It was like being stuck in a loop, except every day Sunday.
It was like watching a game of football where the ball never quite goes into the net and the final whistle never blows.
It was like the draft of an unfinished novel being shredded into pieces.
That's what it was like.
Maybe it still is.
So,
Anyone else been having really weird dreams?
Don't worry, we're not going to tell you about our dreams.
Except I had this dream.
We literally just said.
We literally just said this wasn't going to happen.
Just one. Let me tell you just one.
Okay.
I'm in the old home in front of the analog TV of my childhood, and I'm trying to switch channels, but there's only static. And then I realize that I'm alone in the house.
No, that's not it.
last of humanity on Bath campus, and I'm sneaking through buildings to see my friends.
That's not it either.
I got it. I'm walking down a busy road, except I cannot see anyone's faces or hear anyone's voices. It's peaceful.
Look, I know this guy's no good at titles, but maybe, just maybe, he can give us a shared dream to tell you. Maybe we can trust him that much to give us one useful dream.
Try.
So I had this dream where I was walking outside, but it wasn't my outside, as in not what I'd see if I went out the door. It was an outside that differed in certain very important respects from anywhere I'd normally find myself. It was huge, for one thing, not streets or houses. The sky not just a ribbon stretched out over a road, glimpsed between the artificial horizons made by buildings closing in on other sides.
It was bigger, even than landscapes without building, wider than moorland, more distant than the glimpse you get sometimes of distant hills.
The ground was flat. Not grass flat or rock flat or artificial car flat, but the flat of an afternoon spent looking out a window at a leafless winter tree.
And the ground, the colour of the light fading on a wasted day, and the sky thrown over like an overwashed bedsheet, and the sun, invisible.
Light just seeming to come from every direction. No shadows, no bright.
And me, not even in the middle of this, because there is no middle if you can't see the edges.
There, like in my body. I was definitely in my body. It was absolutely definitely me wearing my clothes, my height, my hair, my skin.
Standing on that empty ground in a colourless dream version of my everyday shoes. I stood there for a long time.
Is that it? Was that the dream?
No, I was just doing a long time.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I stood there for a long time. And I thought, do you ever think in dreams? It's really difficult, but I thought...
The world's gone. And then I thought if that was true...
And at that moment it felt true.
Then really, what's been lost? I didn't really feel grief. I didn't really feel happiness. There were many things I'd miss, but there were many things I was glad to lose.
I guess it kind of balanced out into a state of mind that felt like the landscape looked.
I was sad to lose being in some part of a city, on my own, feeling not knowing, feeling unknown.
But I was glad to lose the eyes of strangers on me. I was glad to lose having to think about how I was going to dress, the worry of what might be thought of me.
Sad to lose a reason to get dressed at all. I was sad to lose some kind of touch.
But I was glad to lose some other kinds of touch.
I was sad to lose a strict routine.
But I was glad to have more time.
I was glad to lose being packed like sardines on the tube or the bus.
But I was sad to lose freedom of movement amongst strangers.
I was glad to lose awkward small talk.
But I was sad to lose hugs with my friends.
But most of all, I think it was control. I was sad to lose control.
It was like The whole world was a mug that had just been dropped. You know that moment when you've just made a drink and everything's right in your life? Then, for some reason, for some completely stupid reason, the mug's not in your hand.
And your fingers flash through empty air.
And for a frozen fraction of a second, the whole thing's laid out before you.
There's nothing you can do but watch its spinning progress to the floor.
Well, the way you feel in that moment, like a bystander at an accident.
Except the accident's your life.
That's the way the dream felt, standing there in all that emptiness.
Except,
and this is important,
This isn't real life.
in real life, the mug was dropped.
Somewhere unknown, the other side of the world, nature had made us a cup of tea, and we'd fumbled it.
we were standing in the universe's kitchen, watching everything we'd carried fall tumbling to the tiles.
Who knew the universe had tiled floor, eh?
Caught in a frozen moment of not knowing.
Waiting to see if the rules we lived by.
The structures we thought were solid.
So much we'd forgotten they were there.
Waiting to see if they would break or bounce.
Out of our control.
Nothing we could say to stop the fall.
But in the dream, in this strange world, the falling, the feeling of it, was not an action taken or not taken.
Was not an accident.
Was not the world happening without me?
I realized as I stood there, it was a choice.
In the dream, there was a feeling that I had no control, but I was in control of it, of the feeling of not being in control, which meant I could choose.
I could choose not to feel it.
It was just me.
No rules, no landscape.
No buildings, no rocks.
No responsibilities, no work to do.
Everything waiting, everything suspended, and only me there, meaning no matter what my life outside the dream was like,
Everything in it was my choice.
I wasn't used to that. I was not used to that at all.
I stood there, just waiting for something to happen.
And slowly, it crept up on me.
Fearful, yeah, but also kind of thrilling.
Nothing was going to happen.
Nothing was going to happen.
Nothing was going to happen.
Unless I made it happen.
And so,
I held out my hand.
Oh, right, that's the title.
Makes sense, I guess, but I still don't like it.
Anyway, I held out my hand.
And absolutely nothing happened.
Guess I thought once I realised that what happened was in my power, I figured it would become easy. Like, hold out your hand and
Bam, there's a, what?
bam, there's a fountain.
A fountain?
I don't know, it was the first thing I thought of.
A fountain?
Okay. Bam, there's a hamburger.
Bam! There's a rainbow.
There's an elephant.
I thought it would just flow, like film magic, like game magic. Like the power in me was point and click.
But it didn't. I had to really think about it,
I had to start off simple.
which seemed a bit unfair. It was my dream after all.
but apparently I didn't make the rules.
I collected myself.
I held up my hand.
I started simple.
And I thought, blue. Doesn't get more simple than that. Blue of sky, I thought.
And I closed my eyes. And I opened them, and something had almost happened.
There was still flatness, still nothing, but maybe, just maybe, it was a slightly bluer nothing than before.
thing is, I could feel the power like a spring inside me.
Both kinds of spring, I mean. The water kind and the metal kind. Like, it was gushing out, but also winding up.
And the way to be in charge of both those things at once was to use them both. Think simple, think blue, let it flow out, but also keep the tension. the direction by answering the question, what kind?
I thought blue, but this time thought the blue of sky.
And not just any sky, all skies are blue, but the blue of the sky seen in summer when you've been up all night, maybe you've climbed up on a roof, you're the highest point in your surroundings, and the horizon you can see knows the sun's on its way, but not for a while. No clouds or anything, no lights on in any of the houses. And just at the end of the dark, there's a blue that says morning's coming. That blue, I thought that one.
And I held out my hand.
And I stretched my fingers wide.
Close my eyes, open my eyes.
And the blue in my head was the whole world.
And the world was still simple, featureless and flat.
But that hopeful, gentle blue of almost morning was laid across it and within it.
Like it had always been there.
And it felt strange.
This is all sounding a bit weird, I know. This is all sounding like some mystical experience.
But it wasn't that. It wasn't. The strange feeling of magic, of fantasy, of extra dimensions and portals, of alien worlds opening up.
It was the strangeness of this world.
Even the simple world, the simple landscape from inside me, being within my control, being mine to command. One decision that was mine.
And then,
It was a dream.
yeah, I know it was a dream. What happened then?
I woke up.
Same room.
Same room in the same house.
Same house on the same street.
Same street in the same town.
Same town in the same country.
Same river flowing into the same sea.
Same carpet, same curtains that don't quite close.
Same splash of paint on the back of the door.
Same clothes in the same pile.
Same sun at the same angle.
Lighting up the same spot on the same poster.
Same sounds from the outside, same voices from inside, same voice inside me.
Same day repeating again and again.
Same planet crawling through the same space.
Same screen in my hand telling me.
The same half-fake information.
The same hysterical guesswork.
The same words spilling from the same faces.
The same opinions on the same subjects.
The same arguments of the same action.
The same stale food chewed over by the same tired mouths.
While the same stale power, grasped in the same stale hands, thrummed in the background like the noise of a distant factory.
Turns out, the way the dream feels, it isn't a dream.
This is what I think we're here to say.
As far as I can tell, that feeling, being swept up in events you can't control, as the weather patterns change and the hospitals fill up, and the future you wanted seems to melt into your hands. Being swept up in all that, in your smallness, but at the same time being so very still. It's not some imaginary landscape. It's the way life feels right now.
In a year from now, I want to have recovered from my eating disorder.
In a year from now, I want a healthier relationship with myself.
In a year from now, I want to feel like I've grown and moved forward and taken advantage of as many opportunities as possible.
In a year from now, I hope I can hug the people I haven't seen since it started.
And now, right now,
Day that some guy's writing these words, late at night in the corner of some far city. But right now, in this room.
Or through this screen in all these rooms.
Our future world still feels untouchable.
we're not despairing. Please don't think that we're despairing.
We're just saying.
Parts of the life we want still feel like dreams, still feel lost in a landscape we're standing in, wondering what happens next.
But we remember. We're still remembering the spring,
And the spring,
the power to hold tight.
and the power to let go.
How in the dream we knew that the world didn't just act on us. We could act on it.
Now, there's a focus we can find inside ourselves, and then together.
Hold out your hand. There's power in it. Hold out your hand.
I still don't like that title.
I know, but we've come this far.
And anyway, we've not just been handed it. We can do what we like.
We can make whatever this is, we can make it into something of our own.
Carry on our own terms.
Are you ready?
Here goes.
Whether we're saying these words while we breathe the same air,
Or we look at different screens.
Whether we've come miles to be together or we're miles apart and all together.
If we can't say what we want this world to be, then we're alone, trapped in our own dreams.
Hold out your hand. This is how it starts.
The trick of it is realizing we don't have to dream it.
Hold out your hand, let it break out of the landscapes through the edge of the monitor, through the distance between us.
Touch doesn't have to be touch to still count as connection.
Hold out your hand.
we're still in the dream, still in that landscape, even when we're awake, feeling alone, lost in it.
No markers to guide us.
No roads to guide us.
No history to guide us.
But hold out your hand.
Feel the power in it.
Remind yourself, this land, this uncharted land, is yours as much as anyone's.
Put a marker in the ground. Doesn't have to be nearby.
Where you'd like to be.
A year from now,
Something you'd like to achieve.
10 years from now,
Some change you'd like to see.
tomorrow. Doesn't matter.
The important thing is, it starts with you.
The important thing is, even in these times of isolation,
Even in these times of confusion,
Even in these times of repetition,
In these times of repetition.
There is togetherness and change.
and there's choice in what we do with it.
One decision that is mine.
And a choice to share it.
So we're sharing this.
I want to keep the gratitude that I found for those close to me.
I want to let go of the racism that has escalated during the pandemic.
I want to continue giving myself the space to be alone.
I want to let go of other people's expectations.
I want to keep a greater awareness of mental health and an understanding that the surface doesn't display everything that's happening beneath.
I want to let go of my strict routine.
I want to keep one-on-one time with people. So, what do we do now?